Welcome to Technology and Education Today. I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford.
And today we are talking about civics for the digital age, and in particular reference to students in public schools.
Absolutely. So how do you define civics before we get into the whole digital age discussion of it?
Well, civics consists of the study of the rights and duties of citizens within a nation. And in this case, we're talking about students within the nation of the internet.
Within a digital age, within the online environment, and the appropriate actions and protections that are necessary and appropriate within the online environment. Social environment, borrowing material versus copyright infringement, how to go about that process. But especially, one thing I found especially interesting is the concept of personal branding within the social environment. That's especially interesting to me because it's true. Every time you post a picture, every time you post a text message, every time you communicate with someone else, you are branding yourself.
That's right. You create an image of yourself as a citizen within the digital world. It's just as
which reflects upon your real world, whatever that might be.
Right. It's just as if you were walking down the street and you were wearing a very loud colored suit, as opposed to...
People might notice you.
You might notice you, or...
Not necessarily positively.
Right, or if you were wearing a three-piece business suit. It's two different images that you're projecting to the world. So if you're putting photographs of yourself up in all sorts of funny faces and so on and so forth...
It's there forever.
It doesn't go away.
And it's your personal brand. You might think it's fun and cute when you're young and have no responsibilities, but that same fun and cute is going to be there when you're looking for your first real job, when you're looking to meet your life partner's family. They're going to look you up, don't think they're not. And that fun stuff is going to be there, and they're going to have an impression of you. That's your personal brand.
Exactly. And another thing you have to be aware of as part of the civics of the digital age is the use of passwords. That your students should make certain that they know that the use of passwords is very important, and that there can be various levels of passwords. For instance, if you're dealing with passwords for financial information that you may have, you better have a password that's very secure.
Someone just broke into my personal email a little while ago, and I had to change the password to a stronger password.
Right. Well, and that's reasonably common. People are phishing all the time. That's P-H-I-S-I-N-G. All the time trying to get email addresses. So that's another thing that's a part of being a good digital citizen.
But while you're talking about protecting yourself with passwords, it's also just like in a medical profession where people get colds and viruses and flus and all that stuff. It's the same concept with your digital hardware and software. You still have to worry about viruses and phishing issues, and you need to protect your environment as well from that, because people will.
Right, and you need
not everybody is a lovely person.
You need to be aware of how viruses spread, just like you need to be aware of how disease spreads in the
human population.
In the human population. So before you click on something, make certain you understand where it came from. And even if you know the person where it came from, as you mentioned, that email could have been hijacked, and you could be clicking on something that's going to spread a virus not only to your computer but to all your friends'
That's
computers.
How I found out my personal email had been hacked. People were asking, yeah, usually you don't send things like this. What's going on? It's like, oh, man.
I'm hacked. Another aspect is how you convey, where you get your information and how you convey that information.
Oh, that's where I wanted to go next, too. Yay.
And so you are free to go there, but information is not always
accurate, honest, truthful,
and free.
And free.
In other words, copyright that applies in the physical world also applies in the digital world. In that, just because something is on the internet, you need to make a report, does not mean that it's free for you to use, and that you can simply lift large portions of it, put it in your report, and simply forget about it.
That's called copyright infringement and plagiarism, and there are lawsuits specifically associated with those events.
Absolutely right. And if
it's online, it is copyrighted.
And to be a good digital citizen, you need to know your rights and your duties, and one of your duties is to make certain that you do not copyright infringe.
And it doesn't mean that you cannot quote something, but you have to reference it appropriately. And if you're borrowing someone's graphic or video, for example, you have to go through the process of requesting permission,
Get that permission, absolutely true.
keep it in writing, as well as how do you reference it appropriately within your environment.
And you know, that's really
A common
big-
sense approach.
but it's also a big temptation because all that information is just sitting there, and it's so easy to just do a copy and paste, and
Like someone who's in school and they
Steal it.
have a major project due tomorrow, and they find the exact project online that already was getting raves and kudos from everyone. It's so easy just to take it, but that's where the ethics come in. If you're ethical, if you're honorable, you won't do that. And by the way, it's illegal.
it certainly is illegal. And all of this comes to the idea of when you're on the internet for purposes of a course that you're on, or anything else for that matter, act like a professional.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's I still find it amazing that some people will email me as a professor using text shorthand. I don't understand that. I refuse to respond. I'm sorry, this is not appropriate. Feel free to communicate with me as a professional.
Well, and you know, the other part...
It's a reflection upon who you are. Again, your personal brand.
And the other part of that is when communicating with people, especially people who are older than you or in professional positions, make certain that you keep the proper tone of voice in your
Yes.
communications. Somebody who is, if you are a student in high school and you request information from somebody who is an expert authority, and that person's name is, let's say, Bill Jones, you don't start your email
Hey, Bill.
request. Hey, Bill. I really need something. Can you give it to me? And by the way, I need it by 5 o'clock this afternoon. No, that's not. It's not a very professional outlook and a way of
You'd be
handling
very
yourself.
lucky to receive a response on a communication like that.
Unless the professional's 18 years old and was thinking like you.
I would find it amazingly hard to believe that someone would respond to something like that. Not only are you doing them a favor, but you've personalized it to a personal communication style of relationship, and you're mandating when you need the information by. Really? I'm doing you a favor and you're putting these parameters?
Yes, and that's
wow.
that is a frequent occurrence. I find the same thing. Another thing to keep in mind, and this may be the last thing because we're running out of time, is privacy.
Oh, yes.
Simply because you have access to information about a friend or somebody maybe you don't consider a friend, but you have that information, you have photographs that make that person look funny, or you realize the person had done something that you think is a little weird, maybe you want to share it with the world.
Mind your own business. Who do you think
Exactly.
you are? It's very
Exactly.
interesting how people have to share so much information. Like, first off, not your business. Second off, why do you think anybody cares what your opinion is? Why do you think you're so important? And I know that's a horrible thing to say, but it's a fair statement.
And the person that you are talking about, in essence, it's gossip. That person has...
In essence, it is gossip.
It's gossip, and that
And
person...
why are you such a hurtful person that you need to share that kind of information?
That becomes...
It's a reflection upon you more so than the person you're doing it against.
and actually gets into the bullying issue, which is
Good
another
point.
another story entirely. Well, I think that is about it for today's issue of technology and education today.
We're leaving on such an interesting topic. Okay.
I know. And for technology and education today, I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford. Bye.